Zaldrizes buzdaris gosdau.
There are certain characters in House of the Dragon Season 2 that are going to have insane arcs. When you compare them to their book counterpart, it will not look exactly the same, but they're going to be extremely visually entertaining, so to speak, right? That's the whole purpose of this medium. It's like you're translating a book to screen, so you want to have visually exciting things happen on the screen, right? So for this video, I want to focus on Rhaenyra. We do have a bunch of leaks that are coming out for Rook's Rest, and I've covered most of those in a video that I did a couple days ago. But for this video, I just wanted to focus on something different. That is Rhaenyra's arc, according to leaks and rumors, for the entirety of House of the Dragon Season 2. Please, stop like on this. Like goal is going to be 420. And then also, this is the most important thing you could ever do for my channel, or anyone you're a fan of here on YouTube. If you haven't pulled the trigger, go ahead and subscribe. It's one of the best things. It's not one of. It's the best thing you could ever do for anybody you're a fan of here on YouTube. Okay, so the first thing that Rhaenyra will be doing for House of the Dragon Season 2 is obviously going to be mourning the loss of her son Luke. Like, she has that scene with Lucerys before he departs to go to Storm's End, and it's heartbreaking. It's the last moment she'll ever spend with her son, and she doesn't know it. So, you know, she finds out that he dies at the end of episode 10, so of course, the first thing she's going to do is reminisce back about the last time she saw him. She's going to, like, have a breakdown and scream. Like, this isn't a leak. This is just, in my opinion, confirmed with the way they filmed season 1, right? It'll be her POV in the first episode, the first scene probably, and she'll just have a breakdown. She'll be thinking back like, oh man, I sent him to his death. I have to go see if there's a chance that he's alive. And that's where some of the leaks come in. There's been leaks that have said that Rhaenyra will go to Shipbreaker Bay, right? Discover Lucerys' remains and talk to a fisherman about what happened, right? So basically, she'll be in Shipbreaker Bay with Syrax, and she will ask around, like, hey, have you seen my son? And apparently a fisherman will find some of his remains, like a cloak and maybe a pin or something that he was wearing, and then pieces of his dragon, right? Another leak and rumor that sort of goes along with that same theme of Rhaenyra going to Shipbreaker Bay, which, just as a reminder, does not happen in canon. It'd be something for the TV show that they wanted to add because, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, this is a translation from book to screen. So you kind of have to explain certain things, aspects of certain characters by visually showing them. So if you show how good of a mother Rhaenyra is, she's obviously not just going to be like, oh, well, I lost my son. I don't need any closure. I don't need to bury his remains or anything like that. Like, the show has added this scene for that, right? So it is extremely dangerous. I do not think Queen Rhaenyra should be going into hostile waters quite literally, right? Storm's End has declared for the Greens. But some of the other leaks that were sent was that supposedly Lucerys is alive, right? He's suffered wounds, but he's still alive. And the fisherman that he meets with actually has, like, no memory, along with Lucerys, of who he is, right? So when Rhaenyra shows up, she sees that he's alive, and supposedly this is extremely corny and probably does not happen, right? But she supposedly just lets him be. She goes and looks at him and sees him and then goes back to war. And she's like, this is the only way he'll be safe, is if he's out of the war. Kind of a similar thing to what she did with Laenor. Like, fake Laenor's death to allow him to escape, to go and be happy and live his life, right? Like I said, those are leaks. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Do you think they're legit? Let me know down below in the comment section. The next thing that she'll do for season 2 is... Now, this person states that this is a direct result of what happens to Lucerys, but she will send... Queen Rhaenyra will send a troop after Jacaerys. Like, she's going to send a troop to meet with Jacaerys once he arrives in White Harbor from the Vale, and they will escort him from White Harbor to Winterfell. That doesn't necessarily happen in canon, but it would make sense, right? Another rumor is that supposedly Rhaenyra will call the War Council, and this is where blood and cheese happens. So this is going to be in most likely the first or second episode, but they, in this War Council, Rhaenyra decides what to do as a result of what happens to Lucerys at Storm's End. Blood and cheese is, announced, but Daemon's like, yo, I got some people inside the city. We could easily go and end this war right away, right? So the idea is proposed that Blood and Cheese go in and sneak into Helena's chambers and kidnap Prince Jaehaerys, sneak him back out, and then the Blacks will have Prince Jaehaerys as a bargaining hostage, right? Because remember, Aegon II doesn't have any heirs after that, and they'll be able to get him to sort of bend the knee and like submit because they have his son as hostage. Daemon supposedly tells Blood that that's not what's going to happen. Daemon tells Blood to kill Jaehaerys because Daemon disagrees with Rhaenyra's plan, and Daemon sees through Aegon's facade that he's not a father, right? And he doesn't care about his kids, so her plan won't work. So Daemon tells Blood to kill Jaehaerys, and supposedly this is how that happens. Now in canon, Daemon is all the way in Harrenhal when Blood and Cheese happens. He literally just sends a note to Rhaenyra and says a son for a son, and then he sends Blood and Cheese via Mysaria in to go and just straight up kill Jaehaerys, right? So when they get there, they pretend and say, Helena, which one do you want of your kids to die? And she chooses Maelor, who's the younger kid, thinking that he doesn't really know what's going on, and they end up killing Jaehaerys instead of Maelor. And they tell Maelor, hey, you hear that, boy? Your mama wants you dead. Regardless of what actually happens on the show, it will probably go down, resulting in the same way like Jaehaerys is ultimately dead. We've actually seen leaks of Jaehaerys' funeral, right? They've shown him in her funeral procession with Alicent and Helena, and they're on the back of it. They're just making their way through the streets of King's Landing. And then according to these leaks, around this time, Rhaenyra's character arc, anyway, Rook's Rest will start to happen. Like, she starts getting pleas from nearby castles like Rook's Rest, where they ask for her help. They need to defend their land since they proclaim for the Blacks, and the Greens are now attacking them with dragonfire, right? So before Rook's Rest, Rhaenyra actually will try to lead the assault to go against the Greens. Apparently during this council, Rhaenys convinces her to stay put on Dragonstone. The idea that Rhaenyra juxtaposes this with, or the reason why she wants to lead her troops in Rook's Rest, is because she decides, like, it makes sense if her soldiers, the people who have declared for her, see her in the actual fight, like getting her hands dirty. It'll sort of rally them to make them want to fight even harder by her side. But then Rhaenys is like, what's the difference? We're of the same blood, cousin. Allow me to go do this. Please stay safely here. And remember, this is after Blood and Cheese is sort of kicked off, and obviously after the death of Lucerys, so Rhaenyra is convinced to just stay at Dragonstone. Ultimately, like, her staying at Dragonstone, and then Rhaenys is going to fight off of Rook's Rest. While that's happening on screen, we get the Cargill duel. So a lot of Rhaenyra's forces, Rhaenys particularly, are left, right? Jacaerys is gone. She doesn't have very many dragon riders. This is where the Greens directly try to strike back for Blood and Cheese. So when Rhaenys leaves for Rook's Rest, that's when the Cargill duel happens, right? Eric Cargill goes to try to kill Rhaenyra, but then he's met by Eric Cargill, and then they duel to the death, right? Then after this, like after Rook's Rest kicks off, Rhaenys dies, Rhaenyra has an assassination attempt on her, the Blood and Cheese scene. Supposedly Rhaenyra feels as though she could have prevented a lot of the deaths and bloodshed that's happened in her name in the events of season 2. So this is what drives her to be like, no, we're mounting an assault against King's Landing. We are going to go and take the Iron Throne right now. No more blood will be shed. I'm going to take it. So then she has the dragon seed scene, right? Because she's obviously at this point in the storyline lost Rhaenys. She's lost her son Lucerys. Daemon is out at Harrenhal. Her son Jacaerys is still trying to rally forces, and he's going to make his way back to Dragonstone. But she decides, right, alongside Jacaerys, that they need to get more dragon riders, right? We've seen pictures of this. We have several different named characters. One of them, we know who's going to be playing Silver Dennis. Initially, when we had these Dragon Seeds photo popped out, I thought the dude all the way at the front was going to be Silver Dennis, just because he kind of seems more prominent than any other dragon riders, right? Like, he's the first one up front. And in canon, that's kind of what happens. Silver Dennis descends from Maegor the Cruel. One of Silver Dennis's relatives showed up at the Great Council 101 AC and tried to make a claim for Viserys, King Viserys, Rhaenyra's father's throne, right? And ultimately went to Viserys. So nothing of that. But then later on, the Dragon Seeds come and they try to claim dragons. And Silver Dennis is like the first dude to show up, right? He's pretty old. He's elderly. He's got several sons that are with him. But he goes forward and tries to claim Sheepstealer, who's a wild dragon, and Sheepstealer rips his freaking arm off, right? And then as soon as that happens, Sheepstealer flies away, right? Then Silver Dennis's sons rush over to try to staunch the bleeding, and then Cannibal descends on them from above. This is what happens in canon, right? So there's this guy, this actor is going to be playing Silver Dennis. My one complaint, he's got, I think, some sort of physical, scarring on his face, right? But my one complaint about the role is the fact that he's so young. Silver Dennis is supposed to be old enough to have, sons that are going to come and rush to his side. And it just makes it seem like his sons are older, mostly because of the artwork that kind of goes along with it. But also, it doesn't really matter, right? Like, they could age him up with CGI or with makeup, or he could just be like, a younger version of the character. Some of the leaks mention that Rhaenyra will try to teach some of the dragon seeds how to claim a dragon. She's there when Silver Dennis has his arm ripped off, and she mentions how it may be easier for the dragon riders to try to claim dragons who have been ridden before instead of the wild ones, because they've been tamed. So maybe be easier for the dragon seeds to claim dragons who have been ridden before. Now, there's probably some credibility to the rumors of Cannibal showing up to kill Silver Dennis. Remember, that happens in canon, but also Ryan Condal, the creator of this series, alongside George R. R. Martin, mentioned that there's going to be 3 wild dragons that are going to be showing up. Maybe not all in this season, but for sure, we know for a fact we're going to see Sheepstealer being claimed by Nettles. Sheepstealer is a wild dragon. The other one would probably be Cannibal. Cannibal is the one that everybody's most excited about because there's wild theories. It's not even a theory. It's literally in Fire and Blood. It's mentioned that the small folk around Dragonstone say that the Cannibal has been on Dragonstone since before the Targaryens even came over. So since before the Doom. That's obviously not true, because that dragon would be as big, if not bigger, than Balerion. And it's so clearly not, right? But it's just interesting because people, will take that and then turn it into crazy leaks and rumors like, Cannibal's the biggest dragon ever. Cannibal technically has been on Dragonstone since before the Targaryens, right? And that's just not the case. That's not true at all. If Cannibal was, so let's entertain the theory here for a second. I've got enough time to make a good time in this video. If Cannibal was on Dragonstone since before the Targaryens, and it just hasn't grown in size, maybe one of the reasons why it's stunted in size is because it eats other dragons. And maybe, that's good eats, you would think, for a dragon to eat meat and stuff, but maybe it becomes diseased and stunted because it's eating its own kind. I don't know. It's a silly theory. I also read a theory before where people said that Cannibal is a forgotten hatchling of Maegor the Cruel. The problem with that is because, dragons will put dragons. Literally, human dragons. Targaryens will put dragon eggs in the cradle with their babies when they're young so that they have a closer bond with them, right? But that doesn't happen until after Maegor the Cruel. Maegor the Cruel claims Balerion the Black Dread, and also it's never mentioned that he has a hatchling. Rhaena didn't start putting hatchlings with Targaryen youths until after, obviously Maegor has a dragon. So yeah, but that was cool because Maegor's personality kind of lines up with Cannibal's dragon. Okay, so getting back on track here, after Rhaenyra has the dragon seeds mounted up, they lay assault on King's Landing, and then the very last scene of House of the Dragon, or one of the very last scenes of House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 8, is Rhaenyra sitting on the Iron Throne. Oh yeah, real quick. There's some leaked images that have been coming out every hour, right? They're mostly from this username UnboxPhD over on Twitter, and then also from Red Danny and Intel. So in some of these images we have mostly Battle of Rook's Rest, right? We've got several soldiers. One of them in particular is looking like a dragon just flew over above them. It's probably when if I had to guess, it's probably when Vhagar or Sunfire enter the fray, right? So if I had to sort of assume what's going to happen in this battle for the TV show version is most likely Rhaenys is going to be lured to Rook's Rest, right? That's going to be because Sunfire and Vhagar are attacking, around the area. And when she gets there, it's probably just going to be a battle. She's probably going to lead a bunch of forces with her, right? She's going to have some Velaryon soldiers, some of the Rook's Rest men, some other bannermen that are loyal to Rhaenyra. They're going to start to rush in and attack each other, right? Rhaenys is probably going to be sitting off in the background, and then bam! This is when Sunfire is going to show up with Aegon. Rhaenys will obviously go and fight, and then Vhagar shows up. So some of these other images we've had, they're using dragon heads as a stand-in, which is really cool. got an image of Ryan Condal doing something similar on a beach with the Caraxes head, and the Caraxes head is supposed to be used as Melee's head, but we've also seen a prop head of Vhagar, right? So that's really cool. Obviously, the CGI is going to be added in later. It's just to give the ideas of what give the people an idea of what the dragons look like. And also, we've seen Kristen Cole and Freddie Fox in full armor. Freddie Fox is playing Gawain Hightower, and Kristen Cole is played by Fabian Frankel. So yeah, these leaks are awesome, and then when the really big stuff comes out, I'll be putting that out in a video. Right, I want to thank you all so much for watching this video this far. Please slap a like on it. The like goal is going to be 420. Super special shout out to you for watching it. Thank you so much. It really helps me out. And then also super special shout out to every executive producer of this video, the members of my Dragonite tier from patreon.com, which is an exclusive platform that you can join if you want some extra content. Those patron members are the North Must Remember, Breanne Johnson, Tyler Schnabel, Destiny Mix Queen Phillips 420, Pebbles 83. Along that, Saltrizas Pustari X Costaur.